Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Welcome, brothers and sisters, Muslims and non-Muslims, and everyone else who is watching us. We are On the Ground News, and we have a very special presentation here for you this evening. Now, people may have heard something or seen something at some point about Muslims in the Xinjiang province of China. Well, that region is known as East Turkestan. Now, we're going to try to help you to understand exactly what has been going on in East Turkestan. We just got finished with the month of Ramadan, and many people, alhamdulillah, were able to successfully fast the month of Ramadan. However, in the Xinjiang province of China, they were not allowed to fast. And these people have been under oppression for quite some time. So we have with us here today a Turkestani activist coming to us by way of Amsterdam, and his name is Abdugheni Sabit, and he is from the Aksu province of East Turkestan. And I'd like to say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, brother Shauni here.
Thank you for taking out the time to talk to us all here at On the Ground News, and we're going to try to help people to understand. Now, before we begin with Abdugheni, I'd like to let everyone know, please, we welcome your questions. Please do send in your questions. We would love to hear from you and your comments, and we will be discussing some issues with our guests, and then we're going to get to your questions. So do send them in now, and then we'll be taking them as they come along. My first question to you, Abdugheni, is this. Some time ago, I looked in Wikipedia, or I should say, first I looked on a map, and I was looking for the country called East Turkestan, but I didn't find it. Where is East Turkestan exactly? Is it a country, is it a province, or what?
East Turkestan actually is East Turkestan, land of Turk people, eastern part of Turkestan. East Turkestan is located eastern part of Turkestan, and we have been living there since Allah created the earth. Geographically, East Turkestan is in an area which is located eastern part of Turkestan. As you know, currently Central Asia republics in the past called Turkestan, but step for step, Turkestan is divided different parts like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, Azerbaijan. Yes, of course, it was a country before current China's occupation in 1949. East Turkestan is homeland for Uyghurs and all other Turk tribes like Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, and Tatar. Actually, our Turkic brothers, I mean Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Tatars, who have been fled hard time of Russian Empire and Soviet Union under Stalin rule. We have been living in East Turkestan more than 4,000 years.
Okay.
It was a country before.
Okay. Go ahead, please continue.
And for example, the China's invaded in Turkestan, massive help from the Stalin in 1949, and assassinating our key leaders during their journey to Moscow, where they were invited to discuss the Soviet Union's future agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry just to cut you off here, but I just want to ask you a question. How long has Islam been in the East Turkestan region?
East Turkestan people accepted Islam during the Khalifa of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan rahimahullah.
Okay, so how many years are we talking? That's more than 1,000 years, is that right?
Exactly, 1,000 years exactly.
Okay, so Islam has been in this region for more than 1,000 years.
Exactly, yes, it is.
All right, now listen, for our audience, just for our technical staff, I would like for you to display picture number 2. To display picture number 2. Now, Abdugheni, I'm going to tell you what we're looking at here, okay? Because I'm going to ask you to comment on this, all right?
Yes, yes.
All right. It says at the bottom of this picture here, it has a woman on the picture, and it says, this is in the Xinjiang province, where what percentage of the people there are Muslim?
Sorry?
What percentage of the people in the Xinjiang province are Muslim?
Actually, Turkestan is, if you look at history, in 1949, we had,
okay, hold on one second, because I want to read this. But what percentage of the people there are Muslim?
If it's today, we call it only 50% Muslim. Because, because the Chinese government migrated.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. I want to read what it says on the picture. It says, women wearing veil or headscarves and men under 45 years old with long beards may not enter the hospital. Prayer is prohibited in the hospital. So, are we understanding this? Is this an enforced rule that if you have a long beard and you're under 45 years old, you're not allowed to get treated in the hospital? Is that right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's right.
What's your opinion about this?
Actually, China is a communist country, is an SS country. The communist is against any kind of religion. For example, the Uyghurs, we are a Muslim. Actually, yes. After 11 September, the Chinese government got very golden opportunity to, oppress and eradicated the Uyghurs culture. And this I can explain it. Just one word. This is a very big question.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Then you know what? Let me show us another picture. I'm going to show to my technical staff here. Picture number 1. Picture number 1. And it is written at the bottom of it. It says, notice, show your beautiful face. Let your beautiful hair flow. Remove your veil. Change primitive customs. Make Kasjar harmonious, which is the region that this was posted in. Establish pleasant traditions. This doesn't sound like this region is very friendly to 50% of its population, which are Muslims. Now, I want to ask you, with all of this as a backdrop, I want to talk about Ramadan that just passed. Were the Muslims there in the Xinjiang province allowed to fast Ramadan?
For example, Ramadan, if you are, the government workers and the students and the teachers are not allowed to fast Ramadan, who are also under 18 years old, is ordered by the Chinese government. If these people are being discovered by local inspector, at minimum, they will be forcibly open their fast and cut their salaries. If they are insist fasting, they will be punished by different measures such as jail imprisonment and sent out labor education or fire their work. But some people, alhamdulillah, fast secretly. And about the farm.
What would the government do exactly if they feel like you are fasting? Do they tell you to eat something or what?
For example, if I'm a student, for example, at lunchtime, my teacher say to come here, drink water or eat food. For example, if I work for a company or a government, my boss say to come here, drink and eat food for us. If you don't eat or drink, said, oh, you are fasting.
Okay, and then what would happen then if you were if you're a student in school, for example?
For example, expelled from school.
You would be expelled from school?
Yes, expelled from school. And if I'm a worker, for example, they cut my salaries.
They would cut your salary if you're fasting at work and you're a grown person, is that right?
Yes, exactly. If I'm fasting, if I work for the government, they cut my salaries.
Okay, is this a long-standing policy or is this new?
This is long-standing policy. This is long-standing. It's not new.
Okay. Please try to describe for us what's it like being a Muslim in these territories these days. What is life like?
You know, Uyghurs belong to Sunni Muslim after accepting Islam. We became indispensable part of Muslim Ummah. However, we live under communist regime. We are not allowed to learn Islam or teach Islam to our children free like others. You know, Islam is not allowed to teach any kind of level school or public institution except 1 or 2 colleges where the Chinese government train imams. Those imams only serving for the Chinese government. You know, for example, being a Muslim in Turkestan is just seen as a crime because the Chinese government claimed the Uyghurs as extremists, separatists, terrorists, using their vast majority states media, labeling Uyghurs.
Okay.
And also, there's a note here. Become very short after 11 September, the Western countries give a lot of effort to fight against terrorism. China got very good golden opportunity to fight against the Uyghurs and increases assimilation and oppression towards the Uyghur Muslim in Turkestan.
Okay, so, all right, so we understand this is not a new thing, but what's the Chinese government's motivation behind these policies? Exactly what are they trying to achieve?
You know, the Chinese government motivation policy is, firstly, China is a communist country, as you know, communist against any type of religion. Their goal is only build an asset nation who agree with their own propaganda. Most of the Chinese people are atheists, you know that. Their goal in life only become rich as much as they can. And the Chinese government, you know, believe the Uyghurs people, Chinese people believe if the Uyghurs people lose the religion and the culture and language, they can easily be assimilated into Han Chinese. You know, yes. Also Chinese government considered, you know, Uyghurs as like a potential threat to the communist government.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're looked at as a threat to the Chinese government.
Yes, exactly. Threat to the Chinese government. You know, and I will say to you, for example, the Chinese people want to lose our Islamic identity and the Uyghurs' identity. Mm-hmm. And you know, but we want to follow Islam. We want to follow the Uyghurs' identity. You know, that's why because the East Turkestan is occupied land by the Chinese government.
Okay, what's the international community doing about this? Because I've been hearing some things, lots of things actually, over the years. But is there any action from human rights organizations, United Nations, concerning what's been going on in those territories?
You know, for example, to be honest, the international community didn't do anything for the Uyghurs, except some Western countries accept Uyghur asylum seekers and allow them to protest against Chinese and allow to keep our identity just as like they do on anyone else in their country. Some NGO organizations try to speak out Uyghurs' plight, but it doesn't get much attention from the public.
Okay.
Also, we didn't have enough manpower to express ourselves to the world.
You say you don't have enough manpower to express yourself to the world. Why do you think that the international media, for example, hasn't given much coverage to the situation that's been going on out there? Why do you think that's the case?
I will say to you, look, in China, for example, China's government not allowed to access and cover the international media. And also, I will say to you, we don't have, a media like Arabic and English channels inside of East Turkestan or outside of East Turkestan. I mean independent
okay.
Media or channels. You know, for example, brother Zahid Akhtar, for example, documenting oppression against the Muslims, he tried all his best.
And who is this individual?
The brother is Zahid Akhtar, the documenting operation against the Muslims.
Okay, okay. And where's he based? Where is he located?
I think UK, the brother, I think based in UK.
Okay, all right. Listen, I would like to let everybody know that we are discussing the situation and the issues that are pertaining to East Turkestan. And we have our guest here today. He is Abdugheni Sabit, and he is from the Aksu province, and he's coming to us by way of Amsterdam. Now, I would like to just let everyone know that they can send in their questions, and we will be entertaining their questions. Before I continue with my questions, we have a question that's here. And the question is, are these policies implemented in all areas, or is there some freedom to practice Islam in some areas? Your thoughts?
Yes, this is a very good question. This is a very, very good question. In China, we have two kind of majority of Muslims, Uyghurs and Hui Muslims. But that policy is only imposed on Uyghurs in East Turkestan, not in the Hui Muslims in Ningxia province or Xinjiang province of China.
Okay, so the two are not one and the same. They look at these two groups of Muslims as different. Why?
Yes, because Uyghurs, we are Turkic-speaking people. Our Hui Muslim brothers, their ethnicity is Chinese, and they, the Hui brother, for example, the race I mentioned already about, because the freedom of this communist regime in the history. But Hui Muslim have never been an independent state, as they always live together with the Chinese Muslim, and they have same culture and characteristic with the major Han Chinese apart their religion. But because we had independent state before.
So you're saying that if there are Muslims that are living in Beijing, for example, or in one of the other areas, because they are not in the Xinjiang province, in general, they're allowed to practice their religion, to fast. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. For example, Ningxia province, that's middle of China. For example, Yinchuan, Gansu, Beijing, for example, they are free.
Yes. I see.
Yes.
I see. I understand. Okay. Once again, please feel free to send your questions in. But now I want to take us back to Muslims, particularly Islamic scholars. We hear about Palestine, we hear about Syria, we hear about Iraq, we hear about a lot of different places around the world where Muslims are under a lot of pressure. But it's very, very rare that we hear anything from Islamic scholars concerning the plight of the Uyghurs. Why do you think that's the case?
Because that China don't spread much information about us, except about terror-like activities. Mostly cannot consider terror activities if you compare what happened in other places. Secondly, the Muslim countries are close allies of China. For example, Pakistan and other neighboring countries, member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. As they are against terror, in Middle Eastern countries, they have very good ties with China because their economic development. In addition, China is a globally rising power, and their aim to become a global leader, and they would like to buy everything using their money. That's why Muslim countries haven't got enough power to deal with China. And China also has a double standard policy for Muslims and Muslim countries about what to do in the specific occasions. And for example, look, in the Chinese, for example, we don't have any independent English or Arabic media in our homeland or abroad. Okay. And also any foreign media are not allowed access and cover the issue what happening in China, in East Turkestan. Also very strict policy in East Turkestan. China has been introducing Uyghurs Muslims as to the Muslim world as like secularist, uneducated, backward, superstition people, and introducing Uyghurs to Western world like fundamentalist, terrorist, extremist.
Are journalists able to go to Eastern Turkestan?
No, not allowed. Not allowed.
They're not allowed?
Not allowed.
Okay, in your estimation, what can concerned Muslims and non-Muslims, for that matter, what can they do to Yes.
I hope the Muslims can pray their daily prayer to Muslims in East Turkestan and try to reach the cause and their media and available tools to understand the injured Uyghur Muslims tragedies and other people around them expose the Chinese lie and speak out Uyghurs' plight and write them, talk about them, and give a lecture in khutbah about East Turkestan. And also they can discuss and arrange an international conference and contact them with the government to help the Uyghurs.
Okay. All right. Now, we've got a couple of questions that are here. One of them, how have the oppressed Muslims there reacted during this Ramadan? Are there any groups that are fighting there or anything like that? What is the general people's reaction to these policies?
We don't have any fighters in East Turkestan. We don't have any fighters in East Turkestan. Before I say to you, if government workers, students, the teachers, not allowed to fast during the Ramadan. But the farmers, they are allowed to fast the Ramadan, but the government controls their activities.
Controls their activities how?
For example, monitoring them if any people like young or the government activity students will be joined with them, and it puts them in jail, for example, fires their work and cutting their salaries and labels them terrorists, for example, extremists.
All right, how do they, I've got another question here, and it says, how do they treat Muslims there otherwise? For example, are they permitted to shop in the market, travel, or are there other restrictions against them besides practicing their religion? Are they allowed to travel, get access to passports and such?
No, not allowed, not allowed. You know, for example, in China, only for Uyghurs, very difficult to get a passport. Number one. And number two, for example, if you want to go to one village to another village, you must be asked a license, a letter from the government officials.
You have to get a license from government officials to go from one village to the next?
Exactly.
And for example, what's the distance from one village to the next, approximately?
You know, East Turkestan is a very big country. It's like Iran, for example, bigger than Iran, for example. Some villages very, long distance, some is very short, for example. For example, if you are live in 20 kilometers away a village and you want to go to another village to pray, you must be asked license to pray to the mosque.
You have to get a license. Okay, yes. I mean, what is the procedure? I mean, I just want to know what it's like for bureaucracy. For example, if someone wants to get married, do they just go to the mosque and they get married by the imam? I mean, what's the process?
For example, if you are going to mosque or want to marry with the imam, that's illegal.
That's illegal.
Illegal. You must go to the government, ask the government appoint for the imams.
So two people, what happens if they just decide to say, okay, Khalas, we're just going to get married. We don't have, we don't have to go and get a license or anything like that. And then they just, they do go to the imam and he marries them and then they just live their life. How does that work?
Captured, arrested.
They would be arrested?
Yes, because illegal marriage.
Is it difficult to get a marriage license?
Actually, not very difficult. Actually, how we can say is, because the government appointed imam, for example, during your marriage ceremony, wedding ceremony, the imam is propagating the communist ideology, the atheism. That's why some people, they don't want to, want to the government office and they want to go to imam, but any imam want to give them nikah, for example, but the government labels them as illegal.
So it's labeled as illegal. Okay. What happens if someone wants to travel? What do they have to do to travel? Because they're like you yourself. You're from those territories, but you were able to make it out. How did you do that?
I gave a bribe to the Chinese police office. Gave a lot of money.
They have to pay a lot.
That's 10 years ago. I gave them bribe. To be honest.
So if someone today wants to get a passport, for example, to travel outside, how much would it cost approximately?
Oh, that's impossible. That's very difficult right now. I think more than 10,000 euros, $10,000. But also 10,000. Actually, in China is low, only $30. But for the Uyghurs, at the moment, right now, it's difficult.
Okay. We understand, that, from what I've been reading, is that the Chinese government has been bringing in non-Muslims to the Xinjiang province for some time now. Why are they doing that? What's the goal behind that?
Because they want to destroy, East Turkestan is an occupied country by Communist China. Because China, it has a goal. They want to totally destroy East Turkestan. They want to totally destroy the Muslim identity in East Turkestan. That's why they want to, bring 1 million of Chinese every year. For example, 1949, only 4%, the Chinese businessmen, also refugees, live in East Turkestan.
Okay.
But today, if you look, there are around 50% Chinese illegal immigrants in East Turkestan.
I see. Okay. Now, I'd like to ask you for your final thoughts to the people who may be watching, particularly to Muslims, particularly to people of Islamic knowledge. If you could say something to them, what would you want to say to them? What do you want them to understand about the situation there that you think that they don't understand? What do you want them to know?
My message to my Muslim brothers and sisters around the world. We are children of Imam Bukhari and the Tirmidhi. You know it. Our country has been occupied by Communist China since 1949. The government kidnapped the imams, sheikhs, and student knowledge every year. It's your duty to speak out, talk about, and lecture in your khutbah, and check carefully about the Uyghur Muslims. It's your duty. I am the ulama, the sheikh. And
yes.
I also, the Muslim brothers and sisters around the world, contact with the East Turkestan Association, like in Europe or in Turkey, and work with them together, get information, to highlight the East Turkestan Muslims' plight to the Muslim world.
All right.
And write books and articles.
So basically, they have to play an activist role. Is there some place where they could go to get more information, some website, or perhaps some Facebook page?
Yes. For example, we have, English website, like we have some English website. For example, World Uyghur Congress and Uyghur Human Rights Project.
Okay, and that's also World Uyghur Congress?
Yes.
Okay. And that's a website, yes? If
yes.
they go to the Google search engine and they type in World Uyghur Congress, yes. And that's Uyghur, Uyghur.
Yes,
is that correct?
Exactly.
World Uyghur Congress, okay.
And for example, Uyghur Human Rights Project.
Uyghur Human Rights Project, okay.
Yes. Exactly. This is English language website.
Okay.
And also, for example, you can find information Turkestan Times, Arabic and English, and also Turkish.
Okay. And that's produced out of the territories or outside of the country?
Inside territory cannot, but outside
yes.
the country.
Outside of the country. Okay. Okay, so I would like to call everybody to these publications, and also to check in the Google search engine, so that the World Uyghur Congress, and the other one was?
Uyghur Human Rights Project.
Uyghur Human Rights Project.
Yes.
We'd like to thank our guest, Abdugheni Sabit. Yes.
And for example, any brothers and sisters who, want to know about more East Turkestan, feel free to contact me via Twitter or Facebook.
Okay.
I'm ready to help.
Okay, that's fine. And your Facebook account is?
Abdugheni Sabit.
Abdugheni Sabit, and that is ABDGHENI Yes. And the last name is S like Sam, A-B-I-T.
Yes.
Abdugheni Sabit.
Exactly, and also same as Twitter, same name.
And Twitter under the same name.
Exactly.
So for more information, you can contact our guest by way of Twitter or Facebook. And we encourage everyone to take a look and see what there is to offer, because there's very little in English. So hopefully, as more people become active, there's going to be more information that's available, which would mean, hopefully, a change politically in what's happening in those territories. Abdugheni, I want to thank you for coming on our program. We really, really appreciate it, and we'd like to have you on again if that's possible.
Thank you very much for having me in your show. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Okay, I am Bilal Abdul Kareem for On the Ground News. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will be back, inshallah ta'ala, this coming Thursday, where we will be discussing the situation which is taking place in Yemen and what you can do to help the people that are there. I'm Bilal Abdul Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.